Hello everybody, we're back, and this is going to be what will be 2 of our tips for collecting mainly diecast cars is what I'm focused on, but it'll work for anything, so video games or toys or whatever. Basically all the same tricks. And this was supposed to be part 1, but I lost it, and we've already posted part 1, which was part 2, so these might seem a little bit out of order, but they're all here. But mainly, this series is going to be about the simpler things that I do when I'm trying to collect. And again, this goes back to, I got a few emails from people really wanting me to explain how I bought the large lots of cars that you see in the video. And a lot of the YouTube guys will buy large lots of cars. That's how we get the cars, to either run down the tracks or to show in the diorama that's behind me or the light boxes or whatever. I don't buy cases of new cars anymore. Not that as interested in the newer cars as I used to be. I really like the older cars, and of course now we got to find a bunch of them to produce a video like this, and I can't be spending, you know, $5 each on them, or I would never make my money back on the videos. In fact, I'd be perfectly honest, I need to keep the videos somewhere around 20 bucks per video for me to make my money back on them fairly quickly. So most of the time I kind of have a limit of, if a car is less than 15 years old, I try to spend somewhere about 50 cents or less on them, and I'm more than willing to buy in large bulk lots to do that. So here are some of the tricks that I have, and I bet you guys know most of these. The first one is your iPhone, or your phone. I shouldn't say your iPhone. I'm not particularly partial to the phone, but I have an iPhone. Use apps, and the apps that I find most useful, the Amazon app and the eBay app will do price checking. Basically, you just take a picture of the barcode of whatever it is you're looking at say Walmart, maybe it's on sale, and you can tell what it's going for on Amazon or on eBay. That part I think most people know. You'll probably see people doing that all the time in the shows or in the stores. The other thing you can do is use Excel sheet apps, and there's a bunch of them. I think the one I use is called Sheet 2. I don't have it on my phone right now. I had to restore my phone. I haven't put everything back on it. I think it's called Sheet 2, but there's a bunch of them, and they're Excel sheet apps that basically will show you what you need to collect. And if you don't want to work on your iPhone on Excel sheets and all that, keeping track of stuff, you could set it up to basically go through what's called a Dropbox, and I use a Dropbox app. I can export the Excel sheet that I do on my iPhone to the Dropbox app. The Dropbox app talks to my computer on Wi-Fi. I can open that in Excel on my computer. I can order it and clean it all up, and then I download it back to the Dropbox app, and it ends up right back on my phone. For you older guys, it's magic. So just call it magic. But at any given time, I've got tons of lists of like what classics I have and what colors, because there's billions of colors of those. What cars I'm missing from certain series. Tons of stuff. The super fast cars I have a listing. There's all sorts of variations, and I have a listing of which ones I have. So I'm not buying doubles, because for every double I don't buy, I save money, and it's money that goes into the next thing. So yeah, use your iPhone. If you're not, use your smartphone, I should say. If you're not, you're kind of missing out. Another trick, and this one's pretty obvious, you gotta let people know what you're collecting. It is so much easier to get the things that you want to get when people are coming to you. People tend to know that I really like Superfast, the old Matchbox Superfast, the Lesney cars, and that I buy large lots of, we won't call them vintage Hot Wheels, but older Hot Wheels, like a decade old or so. So they come to me, and they'll usually come to me with an email with a trade already in mind. They'll be like, hey dude, I'll trade you this big old box of cars. Here's some pictures for those 3 cars that were in your last video. And that's how I get a lot of the stuff. It just kind of takes care of itself. But the real point is you gotta let people know what you're collecting. and get out there. Now, how do you do that? There's sites for what we do. The Toy Peddler, eBay, obviously, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. If you're not on those sites with some sort of presence, pick a few. I really like Instagram and obviously YouTube, so that's where I spend most of my time. I do have a Facebook page. I check that about every other day. But you don't have to be on everything. I don't get on Toy Peddler much at all anymore. I just don't find the deals there that I used to. So I don't really get on there very much anymore. But yeah, make sure people know what it is you like to trade. And you'll have a much easier time if they're coming to you than if you're searching for this stuff. The next thing, another one is fairly obvious. Don't forget about your own neighborhood. I mean, you might be surprised what's within 100 feet of where you're sitting right now that you might really be interested in. Just posting in your own neighborhood so that your neighbors or the people on your street, like good old-fashioned marketing, can go a long ways. When I first got into this hobby, I posted on our mailbox. We have one of those group mailboxes. I don't know if they have these everywhere in the US, but it's kind of like about 20 mailboxes in one shot. I just made a Xerox sheet and I put it on the mailbox and about 2 others down the street that I collect diecast cars and would buy collections. And I got 2 phone calls within 3 hours and bought hundreds of cars for about 25 cents each. Now, they weren't worth anything. I was just looking for bulk stuff. The people knew they weren't worth anything, but they wanted them gone. And if I'm right there and all I got to do is walk down the street to pick something up, it's a good deal. Now, with that in mind, don't forget about your international friends either. Now, this one I think gets forgotten about. Especially now with social media and Instagram, you might really be surprised where some of these guys are from that you're talking to on Instagram. We all have, you know, funky names and hide our identities. But there's a lot of collectors in South America, Europe, the Middle East, Canada, and they have different stuff than we have here. And it might be stuff you don't even know exists. I have friends that buy for me. They live in the Middle East, but they travel to Europe, and they've bought from me. I have friends in South America, in Brazil, and they get certain things that I'm interested in that they just go down to the store and buy, and it's not that expensive, but they don't get some of the things we get. Retro entertainment, pop culture, anything with real riders, the 5-packs, the 10-packs, the track sets. They don't get these. There's some countries that Mattel doesn't ship to. They have to ship through the gray market. The next thing is auction lots and yard sales, and that's kind of a big group, and I don't really think that's much of a secret, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. Here in Southern California, our yard sales aren't really like what you're used to in the Midwest. I've been to Midwest auctions that are like the whole house is being auctioned away, the whole farm is going. We don't have that out here. Pretty much we have garage sales where people will put out a bunch of stuff they just want to get rid of. But the trick there is they want to get rid of it, and they would not be putting stuff out on their front lawn or on their driveway if they wanted to move it back. They've already determined they don't want it. And to tell you the truth, I don't find a lot of diecast cars at garage sales, and I used to find more than I did, and I think some of it just has to do with there's a little bit more of a value on that type of stuff now, so people aren't just putting them out in garage sales. And when I do find them, most of the time they're pretty trashed cars. But what I do find are things like slot racing tracks or track sets for Mattel. Most of the track that you see that when we have the 6-lane races, most of that track, which was brand new, not out of the package, I bought for 25 cents a piece. So you know, we saved a lot of money. We just bought a Mario slot racers set, like a premium size slot racing set for $10. It's one of Andrew's favorite things. He uses it all the time. $10. I think the thing retailed for like 99. So somebody just wanted to get rid of it. Another thing are auctions, And auctions can look very different depending on where you live. But if you have yard sale auctions, you can bundle stuff a lot of times. So if you see, say, a box of cars that you want, you can bundle it with stuff that you might not want, but that you could resell. So other toys, for instance, you could buy the whole lot of toys for X amount of dollars, keep the cars that you want, and sell the rest off. And that's true of anything. You can do that on eBay or anything else, but bundling is a really good way. And most of the stuff now that I buy on eBay, what I do is I look for what the seller is selling and I find something I want. Say they have 10 cars, loose Hot Wheel cars for $12 plus shipping. So it's going to cost me like $18. Well, I don't want to pay that. That's too much. It probably doesn't even matter what it is. I just don't want to pay that much. But I can go to the seller's store, and if they have 20 other auctions that are 10 cars, and they're willing to combine shipping, the cost goes way down. It's the shipping that kills you on that stuff. And once they start combining shipping, especially if you know your way around flat rate boxes, and what you can suggest to them that they can use as a flat rate box. So if you know it's going to be $30 shipping for everything they have, you know, the cost per car goes from like $1.70 all the way down to like 58 cents. And now that might be something I'd be interested in. So look at bundling and looking at combining shipping, no matter what it is you're looking at, and you're going to save some. Another eBay trick, and this doesn't always work, but it's a good thing to try, is if you see an auction that you want and it's not a buy it now auction, and otherwise it's not just a hit the button and buy it, which those are becoming more and more popular, especially with the diecast stuff. If it's a true auction, you can always email the people and see if they'll end it early. So if you ask for, say there's again 10 cars and they're going for $12 or something, and with shipping it's $18, and you really want those, but you kind of know what they're going to go for. Maybe they're going to go up to $15 for the cars. Just email them and say, look, I'll pay you $12 if you end the auction. And, by the way, I'll bundle in these 5 other things if you end the auction. Sometimes people hate auctions. They don't want to do them. You don't know who those people are. It might be somebody that's cleaning out an attic. It might be somebody that doesn't even know about this stuff. It doesn't hurt to ask. And they can always say no. They usually do. But you can get some really good deals that way. So again, ask if you can end the auction early, give them a fair price, and see if they take it. I did this one with the bundling, and I didn't. I had it written down at a different spot. Craigslist is great, and I know a lot of you do Craigslist and exclusively. A lot of the guys I go to shows, they're big Craigslist people because they're looking for big auctions. They want to buy a ton of stuff to keep their amount of product that they have up. They're just looking to buy stuff. So they tend to troll through Craigslist. One thing that gets lost on Craigslist, though, is if you find people that are listing things individually on Craigslist, and they'll say car A, B, C, D, E, 90 cents, $1.25, whatever. They've gone to all this length to kind of itemize everything they have. Most of the guys on Craigslist just pass that up. It's kind of a clue to them that they want no part of that. Just ignore what the prices are, contact the person and ask if they'll take a flat rate for it. And just say, I'll take everything for this amount of money. And if you haven't seen a trend here, I think that's probably my biggest thing I could tell you is give the person a flat rate price for everything, no matter what it is you're looking at, and you might get a good deal. But you got to have some way of selling off all the stuff that you don't want, or trading it, or giving it away, or whatever you want. But again, you know, on Craigslist, there's all sorts of different people selling. Most of them on Craigslist, they want to get rid of stuff, lots of stuff. Also look at places that are outside your area that you might have to drive a long ways, because a lot of times the other collectors don't want to drive out in the middle of nowhere for Craigslist stuff. If you're willing to, you can get some pretty good deals. Another thing, and this is more advice than it is a trick. I don't know if there's any ways to correlate this with money, but whatever everyone else is collecting, so for instance supers are really big right now, really anything with Real Rider tires is really big, certain series are really big. go a different direction, because there's only so much money in any collection pool. And if all the money is going into one thing, that means something else isn't getting the attention. And so, for instance, I think I mentioned it in part one, classics right now are dirt cheap. I just got back from the LA convention and I bought nearly 100 of them for $1 each. They sold for, I think, $3 or $4 each when they were in the store like 15 years ago. So no one's collecting them. People are trying to just dump them, and I love them. I would much rather have that than some of the stuff other people are getting crazy about. Certain types of cars, Bluebirds and Datsuns and certain trucks right now are huge. People are paying top dollar for them. I would suggest just go collect the stuff that you want. Certain Volkswagens are going near nothing, and a lot of people collect Volkswagens. So go a different direction. You can always come back later. If the price goes up, it goes up. I can't control that. But I certainly know what it's going for now, and if it's not something that I want to pay for now for a certain thing like supers, I don't really want to pay $20 a piece or $30 a piece for a super. I find them every once in a while. I like them. I think they're really cool. I just don't need them. I mean, you can see I do custom, so I can kind of make my own stuff that I like as much as a super. But you don't have to feel like you have to buy these cars for $20, $30 a piece just to be a part of the crowd. No one's really going to care. Now, if that's what you like and that's what makes you happy, then just go for it. I mean, they cost what they cost, and if you're willing to pay it, go for it. I mean, that's great. But I tend to always go a different direction than what many of the other collectors are going. I think this is the last tip for this video. And then there's another video. And this one, I'll admit, it's not really my area. I only know about these things from talking to guys that I assume know what they're talking about, and that's with red lines. And maybe a bit of the black wall, the real expensive Hot Wheels cars, let's just call it that. Cars that are going for over $50 a piece. Watch out for piracy, and I can't tell you what a pirated car is. I can tell you from the guys I've talked to who I can't necessarily say are involved in that, because they would never say that, but with my background in customizing, I certainly deal with a lot of people that know their way around a workshop. We're dealing with a very small, relatively cheaply made thing when you're talking about red lines or the older cars, or the newer ones for that instance, but I doubt anybody's going to pirate those. Anything can be pirated. You got to understand that if you can take a Gucci bag or a pair of $1,000 shoes and pirate those to the point that experts can't tell the difference, red lines ain't hard. I mean, I have seen red line castings that were shipped to China, remolded using vintage red lines, re-stamped, and best I can tell, the only way you can tell that they're fake is with some real high-end equipment that most people don't have. And I know I'm going to get emails from all the guys that collect red lines because I've had this conversation. They're positive they can tell the difference. And if you can, that's great. And the truth is, whether whatever you buy is pirated or not, if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. I don't know that anybody's going to be able to tell. I'm just telling you that if you get involved with this, I've seen guys that feel like if they're going to collect Hot Wheels, they have to gravitate towards the red lines. And I've seen them get ripped off. So you just collect what you want, but don't collect anything you don't really know about. I mean, you kind of have to become an expert in this stuff if you're going to spend that kind of money. So with that in mind, there's another part to this. In the third part, I'm going to be talking about online searches and some tricks that you can do there. I hope this helps. I know what's going to happen is I think 90% of the people are really going to appreciate this. And there's going to be about 10% that aren't going to like it for various reasons. They don't like people giving hints away, or they feel like I was wrong about something. That's fine. I'm not an expert in this stuff. I don't pretend to be. But people have asked. My main market with my channel is beginning level collectors and kids, so they tend to just want certain things and they want to know how to get it at a good price. And I think a lot of us got into this hobby because it's relatively inexpensive compared to other hobbies. And you know, if you can find a way to make it work for you, do that. Last little bit of advice, start a YouTube channel. We started this about 3, maybe 4 years ago, I don't remember. And it has grown into a big thing for us. I know we don't mention it too much here, but it's a business. I don't sell much online anymore. I don't trade much anymore. We make most of our money here on the YouTube channel. There is ways to make money. And so many of you guys out there, when I talk to you at conventions, way more than me. You're way more charismatic than me. You're better looking than me. You have better stuff than me. And you only show it at shows. Start a YouTube channel. All you got to do is get somebody to point a camera at you, start talking, and 2 years from now you could be making, well, I don't want to tell you how much I make, but you could be making really good money with a YouTube show. So start a YouTube show. You might be surprised. You might pay for the hobby. All right, that's enough. So I will see you again in part 3, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.